What is going on, guys? Chip here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG video, another interview with two special guests. Both of these guys have been on the channel before and have been performing very well this season, so you guys should definitely be familiar with them at this point, but if you're not, I'll give them a chance to introduce yourself, starting off with Ryan Sabelhaus on top. How's it going, Ryan?
Hey, Chip. It's good. It's great to be here. My name is Ryan Sabelhaus. I'm a player out of South Carolina. I have to mention it before I get made fun of by Jimmy. I am a six-time regional champion. And I like Fortnite and dogs. There you go. There's a little about me.
That's great. And down below him, we have one-time regional champion, I believe, Jimmy Pendarvis. How are you doing, Jimmy?
I'm good. Just got home from playing some of the new format. I've been having a good season, and I'm going to play some more.
Nice. And we've got a special guest back there on Jimmy's bed as well.
Yes, and I do like cats, and this is the Meowth I won this weekend. Many of you already know of him.
I'm sure if you see Jimmy at an event through the rest of the season, you'll probably see Meowth alongside him as well. So, and we're looking at the Buzzwole Lycanroc deck that both of these guys used to finish in the top 8 with this weekend. Pretty good stuff and pretty good showing from the deck as well, with Azul and Igor both also playing the same deck, and both of them making top 16, I believe. I believe they both lost win-in-ends, making them top 16 finishers. So, you know, I think probably around 5 or 6 of you guys went into the tournament with this list, and to have 4 of you finish in the top 16 of the tournament, that's pretty strong testament to how good this list is. And just taking a look at it, it is the same list. Before the interview, Jimmy got a little upset at me when I said this is Azul's 60 from Brazil. He said this was multiple people's 60 from Brazil, but so what?
Quite as good.
So very good list, obviously. And what made you guys kind of confident heading into this tournament that there weren't any changes that needed to be made to this deck, and that this was the optimal 60 for Buzzwole Lycanroc? We can start with Jimmy on this one.
So we made a couple decisions right before Brazil of only playing 3 Strong Energy, sticking with the double Mew. I think that's really all the wildness. And you know, we played a lot of games with it going into this tournament too, and there was nothing really beating it consistently, and I didn't feel like there's anything that we should change. And the day before, I played in the League Cup too, and I played versus a lot of decks that were loaded with Mews, loaded with Mewtwo's, and they were all like, "Oh man, we're ready for Buzzwole," and they were not ready for Buzzwole. Buzzwole still just beat it, and you don't fix what's broken, so we just rolled with it.
Yeah. Any other input to add there, Ryan?
It's one of those decks where if you're drawing hot, you win every game. If you're not drawing hot, if you have a fighting energy, Buzzwole can carry you. And it's like kind of stupid, because anything that counters Buzzwole dies to Lycanroc. Anything that counters Lycanroc dies to Buzzwole, so you have coverage for everything. And when you're playing against the mirror, you have Mews, so you could pretty much beat anything in the format.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's something that has options for everything, and you guys both have performed well with it throughout this season. Ryan won a regionals earlier this year with a really similar list. I think only like 1 or 2 cards different, and Jimmy also got
just the one card. Strong energy for a fighting.
Yep, there you go. So proven throughout for the past few weeks of this format. Jimmy also got top 8 in Australia with a Buzzwole Lycanroc list. A little different, but, you know, effectively the same deck, and it's just proven to be super, super good in this specific format. So I think headed into the weekend, a big deck that was like talked about amongst some of the top players was Zoroark Garbodor, like the Zoroark deck that was supposed to have a positive matchup against Buzzwole. And I know from talking to you guys, that's actually a matchup you tested a little bit the night before the tournament. Do you guys want to give us any insight on what that testing looked like and what kind of conclusions you came away from after, you know, playing this specific matchup? We can start with Ryan. Or Jimmy. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, Ryan can start if he wants.
In our testing, we've pretty much found out that if you draw, first of all, the deck's inconsistent, kind of, the Zoroark. You have to draw very well, and if you stutter for even a turn, Buzzwole just kills you. We had fights over whether it was better with float stones and choice bands, or whether you needed bursting balloons, and there was a lot of arguing going on about what was the best version, and like how many Mewtwo's you play, or if you play Mew or something. And basically what we found out is it was going 50-50 or better for Buzzwole, and if you hit Lycanroc, you won pretty much every game. So,
yeah.
Yeah, the night before, they were trying to convince me that Buzzwole was not the move, and I was not having it. I was like, this is the best deck of all time. The fact that you guys want to play this is ridiculous. Playing me with your silly deck. At least put balloons in there, though, because I think without balloons, Zorak Arbiter is just god-awful. I don't see how you ever beat any Zorak deck because they can just like outpace you. They've got lower balloons, make it so that if they attack into you, they take the damage, you can knock them out, and it's kind of like a Hex Maniac as well when you put it on Garbodor, so definitely a lot of tools there. And I am a fan of the double Mewtwo in that deck, but even all that stuff, it really wasn't enough.
Yeah, so I guess just looking at that specific matchup and looking at the rest of the field, just felt pretty comfortable with Buzzwole heading into the tournament. So we'll just take a second here. If you don't have to go round by round if you don't want to, mostly because I don't think either of you guys remember your round by round of day one. But if you guys just want to give us some highlights of what day one looked like, what were some of the decks you faced? Are there any matchups that you remember well, like maybe some of your losses or your ties, closer games? Just walk us through what day one looked like for each of you. We'll take turns going there, and we can start with Ryan on that.
Okay. So I started off round one. I played against Golly Zoro. He was actually a very good player. I think he ended up going like 7-2 or 7-1-1, making cut. And I ended up beating him in a pretty close matchup. I feel like it's just favored against Golly Zoro. It's like if you go first, it's just so much of an advantage. And he even started Mewtwo and had everything. It's just Buzzwole is just too good. And then the next couple of rounds, I think I ended up playing against like a Bulu and another Zoroark. So I was 3-0 because those are both favorable. Fourth round, I played against Zaclasage on stream in a mirror match. I played the mirror match, I believe, around 8 million times, so I knew what to do. And I ended up drawing a little bit hot in one of the games, which is good. And they always make fun of me because I always complain I don't hit elixirs, and I hit all my elixirs, so I could not complain. And then round 5, I played against Frank Diaz. We were both 4-0. And he just, I missed Lycanroc both games. And I was sitting there with Rockruffs that were just dying. And I even, like, the second game, I even, like, held off on the Rockruffs until I could go double Rockruff. And then I still missed the Lycanroc off of, like, Octillery for 2 and then Sycamore for 7. So top 9 cards, no Ultra Balls or Lycanrocs. So it was pretty unfortunate. Then I played against this chip. My God, this was the most frustrating round. I played against a Greninja, and I got torted again. So I was sitting there. Time got called, and he was sitting there for like 10 seconds or something, trying to figure out which Pokemon to promote. He's got like 3 Greninja breaks, okay? They all have free retreat. It doesn't matter which one he sends up, Chip. They had nothing on him. There was nothing. He could have just, he's going to send one of them up. But he took like 10 seconds to think about it. So like he was still fine, but it was annoying because I was then turn 2, he was turn 3, and I had game in hand. So I was like, I even tried to be like, hey, I did have game in hand. He's like, oh, that's awesome, and then circled the tie, and I was like, oh, okay. So I was 4-1-1 then, so then I was starting to get worried. Played a mirror match, drew bad in one of the games, and then won the next one. Didn't have enough time, so we tied 4-1-2. So then I was freaking out because I had to win my last 2. And then I played against Bulu, and then I played against like Zoroark, and I was like, oh, free, farm them. Yes. All so 6-1-2, 18th seed.
Nice. Pretty good spot heading into day 2. It's kind of nice at these. I feel like at these smaller regionals, and I say smaller, but there's still 500 people at this tournament. Yeah, it's still like a pretty sizable tournament, but at these sub 700 person tournaments, it's kind of nice to like not have that pressure of I have to win 7 games day 1. I can take a tie here or there, and it's definitely a good feeling. But Jimmy, why don't you walk us through what your day 1 looked like?
Sure. I don't remember too many of my games, but I did kick off the day against a Zoroark Charizard Houndoom deck.
Charizard GX?
Charizard GX, yes. Nice. I did never see the Charizard, but there was a Charmander. So I'm pretty sure that's what the situation was. It never evolved. He said he prized his rare candy in the second game, and game 1, Charmander never hit the bench. But we started off 1-0. Then for my next couple rounds, I played versus Zork, Lycanrocs, and Buzzwoles, and I picked up a bunch of wins there, so I was 5-0. Don't remember too many things about those games. I played versus Jesper, and this is one of my best sets, probably my best set of day 1. Game 1, it gets pretty far ahead, but it gets to the point where I might be able to come back with a GX by Lycanroc and then a Claw Slash by Lycanroc to win. but he found his Guzma into 2, so I wasn't able to claw slash for game. So he won game 1. Then game 2, it kind of gets into a similar situation where he gets pretty far ahead, but I've only got 4 prizes left, so I GX his Orc, and then I've got Energy Guzma in hand, and he doesn't find an end, so I am able to complete the comeback there. And then in game 3, the 2 games, despite my descriptions being pretty short, were very long and tedious, so we didn't get too far into game 3 before time was called, and we ended up tying. So it was 5-0-1 at this point. And then the next round, I believe I played versus the Magnazone guy. And he goes first game 1. I kill a Magnemite. He's got another Magnemite in play. He puts up Necrozma and Sycamores. And I'm thinking, okay, my guy's safe for sure, right? No way he's going to kill it. But then he order pads, flips heads, gets rare candy. But at this point, his hand's only like 5 cards, and he's only got 2 energies on the Necrozma, so I was like, maybe we'll be fine. But then he goes Candy, Magnazone, and dumps his whole hand on the table with energies for his active and a bench guy. So he runs away with that one. And then games 2 and 3, he just never gets out Magnazone and just loses. There were a couple tails on order pad, couple heads, but it wasn't enough to get him going. Then the next round, at this point, I am 6-0-1, and I'm expecting to just go tie, but my opponent does not want to tie, and he's playing Buzzwole, and he beats the living crap out of me. Like, it was really bad, real bad. I believe it was the Polkadad that went like 7-1 day 1, or 7-1-1, maybe 7-2, something like that. It was real bad. And then I just tie into day 2 against a Zorak deck.
Yep, so both of you guys at 6-1-2, like I said, just kind of, feels like at that point you're almost like coasting into day 2 at some of these regionals compared to like what you had to go through at the, like, getting 7 wins at previous regionals throughout the year. But, all right, well, heading into the day 2 field. This was one of the tournaments that I didn't feel like there was anything like super spicy in the day 2 field. Nothing crazy came out of the woodworks to make day 2, but was there anything that you guys were like interested in or like worried about potentially facing in day 2, or did you feel pretty confident?
I felt like our deck could beat anything.
Yeah, I agree, but I'd rather not play versus Zach Kreckler playing Espeon Garbodor just because it's a bit tougher than the Zorak decks that are kind of just free money. And then the Zorak Garbodor decks are, I feel like they're favored, but the games are always so weird that I'd rather just play versus other Zorak decks. So I wasn't really too worried about anything, and I do agree it was a little bland this time around.
So I guess one more question I could ask you guys about that Zorak Garbodor deck, a matchup you guys both played in day 1. Jimmy, you played against Jesper with the bursting balloons, and Ryan played against Frank, who had the more, like, no bursting balloons. He had the float stones and the choice bands and stuff. So what are the differences in that matchup for Buzzwole, depending on which version of Zorak Garb you're going up against? Like, do you approach it any different way? Do you have to play differently at all? What is just kind of your mindset heading into the matchup, knowing which one of the 2 your opponent plays?
So with the balloons that I played against, Jesper played Mew EX, so what he kept doing is he would balloon Garbotoxin until he was going to use Mew EX, and he'd go Mew EX, balloon on Mew EX, knockout, and then you can't kill it back with Mew. Otherwise your Mew will die. So that was a little sneaky, but usually that resulted in me just trying to take a Lycanroc kill that turn. I would never let the Mew die, and there was once where I Sudowoodo'd into the Mew, so it kind of forced me to play an extra energy, commit a little bit more into the response than just the Mew. I think what Gustavo would do is he didn't play Mew EX, or at least I didn't see it, so he kept putting a balloon on his active on the first turn to kind of like set it up to die. Like if I just Jet Punch and then the Buzz will take 60, he'd knock it out a lot easier on the next turn. So that was a little annoying, but one of the times I think I just ate the balloon, and the other time I had a Guzma, so a little bit different situations both times.
Sure. Any other thoughts, Ryan, on that?
Pretty much the way I was looking at it is when I was playing against Frank, he was, like, at some point during the game, he was dead drawing with me because he had Garbotoxin up and he couldn't get it out because he had a float stone on there and not a bursting balloon. So we were both dead drawing together, and I felt it like gave me a better chance to win because all I needed to do was draw into energies and attack with Lycanroc. Against Gustavo, they're just like, all right, you can't use abilities, but then I will. And it was really annoying because he could draw into his puzzles and he could get back his bursting balloons and get back all of his annoying stuff. So I feel like Gustavo's version was a lot scarier.
Sure. Makes sense. Okay, so you guys made it into day 2, so let us know what day 2 of that tournament looked like. 31 points, I believe, heading in was the mindset of, like, I need to get to 31 points to be safe. Maybe 30 would let me bubble in or out, but definitely wanting to get to 31, so that puts you guys at, what, needing to get 4 wins? Or no, 3 wins and a tie, right? Would put you at 31,
Yeah.
so what was headed in, what were you guys thinking? Or Ryan, let us know what day 2 looked like for you.
So I started off the day against Zoroark Gardevoir, which I was very confused how I was still there. But I mean, his deck was fully blinged out. It was beautiful. So round 1,
The Secret Rare Fairy Energies too.
Oh yeah, he had. Oh, it was beautiful. He had the full art Dragon's Exalted Mew also.
Ooh, nice.
The one with the rainbow in the background. So he goes first. Starts. I don't even like just a Zoroark and or Zoro and a Ralts. And I just knock out his Ralts turn 1 and start setting up damage. He like Rare Candies into Gardevoir, and then I just Knuckle Impact his Gardevoir and knock it out. And he's just like, well, we can just go to game 2. And so then he goes first, starts Lele, Mallows to put 2 Bridget on top of his deck. And he even said, I put 2 Bridget on top of my deck just in case I put them in the wrong order. So that they were both Bridget, so he couldn't mess up because he was going to Bridget next turn. And my hand was Ultra Ball, 2 dead cards, a Strong Energy, and 2 Elixirs. And I started with a Mew. So I said, you know what? Let's go for it. So I Ultra Balled for Buzzwole, played both Elixirs, hit both of them, Strong Energy, Knuckle Impact turn 1. So that was a feels good. So 2 donks to start off my first round. And then after that, I think I played against Alex Szymanski on stream, I think that was the next round. And it's another mirror, Charlotte, finals, do-overs. And I think I just drew hot and took him out, and Mew was better than Oricorio. So I was able to get some damage on all of his stuff and spread the damage around, and I think I hit a bunch of Elixirs on 1 turn in the first game. And then in the second game, he just kind of didn't draw very well, and I set up my boards that I just couldn't lose. So 2-0. I think I tied my next round. I have no clue what I tied to. Then I tied to a Zool. We ID'd. So then I was 2-0-2 on the day. I just needed to win my last round, and I hit Glisspod Zoroark, my favorite matchup besides Zoroark Lycanroc, because those two are like, I love those matchups. I think they're so easy for the Buzzwole deck. So they have to draw. I have to draw like really bad to lose, or they have to draw really hot. And he ended up drawing kind of bad. And I think in one of the games I took 6 prizes with a Sudowoodo. He armor pressed. Yeah, he armor pressed, and then he armor pressed one of my Buzzwole or something, and then I Guzma'd and I used Sudowoodo to armor press. So now he can't kill me because he can't armor press because I am reducing 20. So he can't armor press to kill me. So he goes around it and hits something else, and then I armor press his next Zoroark, and then he does something, and then I armor press his Mew or something for game. It was ridiculous.
Why wouldn't he just first impression Sudowoodo?
Well, if he at first impression he goes down to 3 prize cards, and then
gotcha.
My Buzzwole would come up and smack the crap out of him. So he didn't really have that much of a choice, to be honest. It was not fun for him. And then I think the second game he just drew very poorly, so I was able to take it, and I went. I don't even the 7th seed. I think I went in 6th seed, 7th seed.
Yep, definitely feels good. I'm sure heading or wrapping up another top 8 multiple on the season, and definitely feeling good. Jimmy, how did your day 2 run look?
So I played versus Michael Del Rosario round 1 of day 2, and I played him at one point during day 1. I think we were both 4-0, maybe 3-0. On day 1, he was jet punching and putting 30 damage on other Buzzwoles instead of Remoraid's and Rockruffs, which I think is substantially worse than putting it on the Rockruff and the Remoraid. But day 2, he came back and he had figured it out. So he was putting 30 on Rockruffs and Remoraids, and it definitely showed. Our games were substantially closer. But I was drawing all my elixirs in game 1 and game 2 and just hitting them all. But game 2, he actually went first and put 3 energy on the boards with max elixir and got so excited that he forgot to attach. And going back into his turn, he let me know that he forgot to attach, and I looked at his discard, looked at the board, and was like, yeah, you did. And then he goes, okay, Cynthia. And he said, crap, I forgot to attach again. But he gets it back and gets a knockout anyways. So we had some close games. And then round 2, I played versus Ian Robb on stream. And game 2 was a bit rough for me, but games 1 and 3 were like ideal Buzzwole games, just absolutely ridiculous domination. Chip commentated it and got to see it, so it was pretty nice. He drew
very, very well in games 1 and 3, and it was like textbook Buzzwole for sure.
Yeah, game 3 was like turn 2 double loaded Buzzwole or something like that. It had at least 5 energies on them, something absurd like that. In the next round, I played versus Gustavo Wada, and we ended up tying. The games were really close. I feel like he probably would have won game 3, but sometimes it happens. Game 1, I prized double Lycanroc. Game 2, I prized double Rockruff, so I was definitely having a rough time. That's pretty important in the matchup. And he also played a Duskmane Necrozma promo, which he had told me about the day before, and we were laughing at. Because I told him I thought it was silly, and then he benched it, and I laughed again at it. And at one point during the game, he knocked out my Lele, I think it was a Lele something, maybe a Buzzwole with his Duskmane Necrozma, and then I watched and learned it to kill his Lele on the bench, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So then the next round, at this point, I need to win and tie twice to be safe, right? Or no, win and tie once to be safe. And I could win and lose to be on the bubble. But then I got paired with a Zoroark Lycanroc, the best of matchups, and game 1 he goes Zorua Pass, donk it, and game 2 was a little silly, but...
Talk about it, Jimmy.
A little silly, but I ended up picking up the win, and then I just ID'd with Frank in the last round to get in the top 8.
Chip, please tell Jimmy to talk about that game.
I mean,
these
no, honestly,
as long as it's nothing X-rated, I don't mind if he talks about it. But
his opponent had a very sneaky play to win the game, and he did not see it.
He did have a sneaky play to win the game. He could have I'm pretty sure he had a Guzma in hand. I asked him about it after the game, and he said he didn't. But everyone around me also said he had a Guzma when I talked to them. Yeah. So what he could have done is he could have gone Brooklet Hill, get Sudowoodo, which I didn't even know he played. I hadn't seen any evidence of it in the first 2 games. And then he goes, Guzma, your Mew, multi-switch the Strong from the Lycanroc to the Sudowoodo, attach to it, and then copy Jet Punch to kill Mew and kill a Buzzwole on the bench for his last 3 prizes.
Ooh.
But he didn't.
He had it all. He had the double puzzle, he had the Guzma, the Brooklet Hill was out. He had it all.
Yeah. Instead, he went multi-switch to Lycanroc, he went multi-switch from one Lycanroc to another, attached to the new Lycanroc, treat his Zoroark, and then just smacked me for 110. And then I found game on my turn.
Interesting.
But, yeah.
Sometimes they just don't see it.
It was a little complicated.
It was a sneaky play. But...
Yeah, sometimes that's kind of like the thing that can separate... top level play from just really good play, right? Is being able to find obscure ways like that, things that you normally wouldn't do to come in and get yourself out of those situations. But you got the win there, and then ID'd into cut. So multiple top 8s for both of you guys on the season. I'm sure feeling pretty good heading in. You're in the money now, and definitely a solid feeling. So why don't you guys talk us through what your top 4 matchups were and how those games go, and we can start with Ryan.
Didn't quite make it to top 4 there, champ.
Did I say top 4?
Yeah, Chip. Don't hurt our feelings, man.
Spoiler alert. Top 8 did not go perfectly for these guys, but Ryan, why don't you start off and let us know how top 8 went? Excuse me.
So I played against Gustavo, and as you all remember, Lycanroc is the key to victory in this matchup. So, in both games, I never got out a Lycanroc. And Gustavo was able to take advantage of that. I fell right into one of the traps that Jimmy told me to watch out for in game 1, which is where he said, do not attach energy to your bench Rockruff. He had two Pokemon down, and he had something else. So he had a 4-card hand. 2 of those cards were Lele and DCE. And I was like, come on,
he always has it, dude. He did it to me, too. It was ridiculous.
He told me to watch out for it, and I was like, he doesn't have it. Rockruff, energy, let's get set up. And then he's like, Lele, kill. I'm like, no. So then you have to start jet punching, and then you're behind. You don't have a Lycanroc. and so I never was able to get it out because I think my other one was prized or something like that. And then in game 2, I did the same thing where I did in the first day against Frank. I went Octillery for 3, Sycamore for 7, my top 10 cards, and I didn't hit any of my 4 Ultra Balls or 2 Lycanrocs. So I fell back a turn. He killed my Rockruff that had 2 energies on it, a strong and a regular energy and a choice band, which I was ready to get in there. And then I couldn't, so my Rockruff died, and then I died. But I was able to make my flight because I lost so quickly. So that's...
It's funny you mentioned that whole Abyssal Hand thing. Against Gustavo, day 2, I had a Rockruff with 1 fighting on it, and I hit an Elixir to it, and then I attached to it, and I had not GX attacked yet, and I had 4 prizes, so I was going to Lycanroc up a Zoroark and then GX attack the next turn for game, and it was going to be very, very swell. I played my hand down to nothing, Abyssal Hand for 5, no Lycanroc, but surely I'll get one off the Sycamore. 3 Ultra Balls left in deck, 1 Lycanroc left in deck. Sycamore, no Lycanroc, and then he has the old Swindle on the Rockruff, and it dies.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's so annoying.
Yeah, it was so annoying. Me and him were both like, yeah, I can't believe no Lycanroc came on the board.
Yeah, dang.
But yeah, then my round...
Sounds like some unfortunate whiffs led to some of the misses here, but that can happen in the game of Pokemon, right?
Yep.
Yes. My top 8, I was playing against Aiden Robb again, feeling pretty good. Game 1 was similar to our streamed games, and I just juice him. Game 2 was not nearly as good. I had a dead hand, and I played Cynthia, which got me some basic Pokemon, but nothing of real value, so I ended up just draw passing with a couple Pokemon until I died. And then Game 3, it was going to be a similar situation where I played an N or something on the first turn, and then the next turn I had nothing to do, but I top-decked a Cynthia, and I was back in it. But I never really got going, like... I was always just 1 piece short of making big plays. It was pretty close. I end myself to 4 and end him to 2, and I needed to hit max Elixir energy, and I did, but then I missed the Elixir. But he would have found game next turn either way. He traded and showed me, so he played well in game 1 and 2, but we both were kind of making several mistakes in game 3, and we both talked about it after the game. There was a turn where I could have gone for a double max Elixir attach on Buzzwole, knock out your Lele, but instead I went for Claw Slash, and Regirock EX was prized. I didn't hit what I needed to Claw Slash anyways, but Regirock EX was prized, so it made it impossible to hit the one-shot unless I got my last strong energy as well. So I think I should have gone for Buzzwole. Not too sure, but yeah, there were definitely some things I could have done better.
Gotcha. Well, looking back at the tournament, obviously Buzzwole did come out on top, Danny Altavia winning his 4th regional championship. And, I think heading off the breakthrough through Ultra Prism format, this is going to, be in the back of the mind of most players as the best deck of this past format. And, this list, give or take 1 or 2 cards maybe, would probably also just be considered the best list of the format as well. It's gotten the most CP of any deck in the format through this point. And, what do you think led to Buzzwole just being so dominant for the past 3 months? We can start with Jimmy.
So at first, really the only counters were like Mew EX, and Zoroark decks just included that. And they were playing Mallow, and they're like, okay, we're just going to Mew, and then we're going to Mew, and it's going to be great. But then Buzzwole decks kind of adjusted and put in their own counters. We found Mew and Oricorio at first, but then it turned out that Mew, which is better. So it basically just ended up being that once all the lists became ideal, Buzzwole was just too good to be stopped, really. The counters just weren't enough anymore. You had to really go out of your way to put enough stuff in your deck to beat them, and then even some of the more aggressively targeting Buzzwole decks were just not enough.
Okay. And then, Ryan, do you have anything else to add to that about Buzzwole?
I think it was like I was saying earlier. It's that deck where if you're drawing well and you're hitting your elixirs, you're winning every matchup because you're just getting set up and you're so aggressive and you can just knock stuff out. But even when you're dead drawing and you have a bad hand, you are still taking prizes. You're still setting up knockouts for if you do draw a supporter, you can just win the game. It's just all you need is a Buzzwole and an energy, and you can make it.
Okay, so looking forward to Forbidden Light, I think Buzzwole gets a lot of new tools in the new set. The biggest one obviously being Beast Ring, the super Culver's machine that lets you attach 2 energy cards from your deck. to just very easily power up Buzzwoles, and then also the baby Buzzwole, which does a lot of damage if your opponent is at 4 prize cards for just 1 energy. Do you guys have thoughts on Buzzwole in Standard heading into the new Forbidden Light format? I know we have Roanoke first, but Madison is just a couple weeks away. So headed into Madison, the new Standard format, what should players be prepared for with Buzzwole decks?
I've been trying a couple different variations of Buzzwole, but it feels like it's so weird because it should be so good, right? But it doesn't feel nearly as dominant as it was in the last format. I feel like the new set and the new decks that are viable give it a harder time. Like, I was smoking Buzzwole tonight with Malamar, but it could just be that the Buzzwole list wasn't ideal. It could be that I was just drawing a little bit better than average. I was getting like turn 2 like double Malamar knockout with Dusk or Dawn Wings. So it doesn't feel too hard to do that though when you play 4 Ultra Balls and 4 Mysterious Treasures and all that. So I'm curious to see how the format shapes up. I hope Buzzwole is still good. I like that deck a lot, but I'm not too sure about its future.
Sure. Ryan, thoughts?
I think now there is actually a good psychic counter that can get set up in the Malamar decks, and if people are playing B-String with Dawn Wings and stuff, and there's just actually a good psychic attacker that can come up, or the other Necrozma even. So I feel like there's actually a decent counter that can take on Buzzwole, and also I feel like the new Buzzwole, I don't know why, but when I've been testing it with the B-Strings and stuff, like until B-String is activated, it seems a little clunkier, and it's not, it doesn't run as smoothly as it did in the past format where all you were going with was elixirs and you were just hitting them and getting set up. But now you kind of have to wait a little, and you just have to spread damage, which gives them a little more time to get set up and get their attackers.
No, yeah, I definitely feel the same as Ryan on that one. Like, you've got, like, Baby Buzzwole is nice, but, like, it's not easy to use in the early game, and so is the same thing with B-String, and then you've got all the other cards in the deck that aren't really useful all the time. So as opposed to just being like, okay, we can just put some energy down and then feel good about ourselves, we can Sycamore turn through our deck. Like, I don't really want to Sycamore away these B-Strings. And then some games you'll have times where you'll just draw too many energies and you'll run out by the time that the B-Strings are good, and sometimes it's a good thing because that means you're hitting your elixirs and you've got a bunch of energy on the board, but other times it'll leave you falling a little bit short and feeling a bit silly.
All right, I know that this is a little bit of a change of pace, but Roanoke is just over a week away at this point, so I know you both will be there, and I think people always value the opinions of the top 16 players when it comes to the tournament. So taking a look at Expanded, we've got the new set legal. What are your guys' opinions heading into the format, considering Utah? We saw Sableye Garbodor win. We saw 2 Gardevoir GXs in top 8, a little different from a lot of the expanded regionals we've seen so far this season. So into this new format in Roanoke, what are you guys anticipating, and what do you think some of the top choices for you would be maybe heading into the weekend?
I'm not a huge fan of Gardevoir. You won't catch me playing Gardevoir, that's for sure. I don't really like Stage 2 decks, and I think Gardevoir is underwhelming and expanded. I don't think it's a terrible choice, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone who's just trying to get points and be consistent. There are definitely people out there that would disagree with me, though, I'm sure. And I know that Baby Buzzwole is an impactful card for the new set. Fighting gets a bit of support in Expanded. There have been players like Rahul and Pram who like the fighting deck already, and I'm sure they're pretty stoked about the new stuff. I'm not really going to try to perfect anything wild for the new expanded format. If anyone wants to come to me and hand me something nice, then that's up to them. But otherwise, you'll catch me playing something boring and consistent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've played Sableye Garbodor at a decent amount of expanded regionals this year. Do you think that's something we'll see you playing in Roanoke? No,
there's no chance. Honestly, I'm not sure how he made it to the finals. I know I watched his games and he was playing very well, but the deck is just it just doesn't cut it in expanded. I don't know what he was doing. Like Zoroark with Getsis and all that, maybe he found a way out of it. I'm not too sure how he was doing it, but I was getting destroyed by those decks. So maybe he just avoided them. Gardevoir is definitely a good matchup, and he took advantage of that in Top Cut. And Drampagarb's honestly another great matchup. So once he got to top 8, he was looking pretty good, despite everyone being like, "Oh, you can't win the games in Top Cut." Blah 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 blah. But he managed to do it. But I don't think you'll see many people trying that again in Virginia.
Ryan, thoughts on expanded?
I hate expanded. I have actively avoided the majority of expanded events in the entire season. I think
you did win one of them, so
Yeah, it doesn't count, Chip. Okay, I still hate it. I think I've actually skipped like 4 of them though, because I really don't like expanded. I don't like Getsus red card. I don't like Glaceon. I don't like a lot of stuff. Zoroark being that dominant is not very fun to me, and playing Garbodor Drampa is so boring. Oh my god, it's so boring. It's like it's good, but it's so boring. So
I don't know, Drampa Garbodor is like very boring, but it gives you a lot of control of the game. They don't feel like you're getting expanded as much most of the time.
I feel like I'm in a Saw movie and I'm just slowly torturing someone to their death. I'm like, 50 N Parallel City. They're like, I'll draw a pass. I'm like, oh, I don't have anything, so 50 more. And they're like, all right, I still don't have anything. I'm like, you know what? Take 50 more. You just wait till I draw a DC, buddy. And I don't know.
I think in Utah we were saying that it's like bashing your head into the wall until you make a hole.
So if I'm going to Roanoke, so I'm probably going like right now I'm looking at fighting box decks because Diance's sick, adding the damage and all the stuff that they get, and then I don't know, Garbodor is still pretty good, so probably look into that too. But I'm not gonna have fun if I play it, Chip. I'm just not. It's not gonna be fun, man.
You'll have fun.
I'm gonna get red card Getsus. I'm gonna be crying in the corner.
So if you see Ryan,
it's not even that
corner,
effective
guys,
most of the time,
weekend,
dude. Come on.
If you see me in the corner, just somebody go and pat me on the back. And go,
it's okay, bud. All right, guys. Well, I do appreciate your time this evening. It took us a little bit of scheduling to make this interview work, but we made it happen. So thank you guys for working it through with me. I'm going to give you guys a minute here at the end of the video. If you want to do any shout-outs or plugs, feel free to do that. We can start with Ryan. Ryan, the floor is yours.
Check out my Twitter at Sabelhaus_TCG. I don't really post that much on Facebook, add me on Facebook and stuff too. I haven't really written articles in a while, but if I am writing, it's going to be for 60cards.net. And pretty much the main thing you can find me on is just the Twitter, though.
And Jimmy?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter, Ginge_TCG. I post some spicy memes and some good tournament updates. Shout out to Carta Magica. They're sponsoring my new team, E4, so there's some exciting things coming up with that. And then shout out to Six Prizes. I've got an article coming up, should be up on the 23rd, and I just wrote one last week talking about Buzzwole and some other things. So, yeah, shout out to all of them. It's nice working with all of them.
Absolutely. Guys, thanks once again for being here, and congratulations once again on making top 8. I know it's been many top 8s this season, but it's always still an awesome accomplishment to see your name at the top of the list where so many great players were competing in a tournament. So congrats once again, guys. And that is going to do it for myself, Ryan, and Jimmy. You can definitely check out all of their links in the description down below to their Twitters and whatnot. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. All of those things, as always, are at TrainerChip. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely leave a like down below if you enjoyed. And that's going to do it for us, guys. Until next time, take care.